All right, welcome back to another video. This video is going to be whenever we're focusing really heavily on our ex and they appear to be having fun, they appear to be moving on with their life, and we're struggling watching everything they're doing. Now, this can come up in a bunch of different ways, and it can be with them in a relationship, with them without a relationship. It doesn't matter. The bottom line of this is that you're spending way too much time focused on what the ex is doing and trying to, figure out what's going on, why they're doing it. And you're basically just stuck thinking about them and what they're doing. And that is the surefire recipe for disaster that will keep you entangled with them and keep you trapped thinking about what's going on and basically re-traumatizing yourself over and over and over and over again. But I get it. I was doing the exact same thing. When this whole mess happened, I was constantly looking at what was going on and I was trying to figure out what happened, where I fit in the picture, what value I had. I was looking for validation for the relationship being important, basically just meaning something. And to be perfectly honest, guys, you're never going to get that from a toxic ex. As soon as you no longer have any value, they throw you away and move on to something else. And it's really tough because it did mean something to you. You had value in this. You were in it. You were actively trying to make things better or trying to at least deal with the situation. And whenever you get thrown away really quick, it makes absolutely no sense. And what I will tell you is, because I get varying messages from different people, and one is whenever their ex has a new source of supply, they feel like that person is the one who took them away or that person is the cause of the problem. But the reality of it is it doesn't matter what they do. If they are with somebody, you're going to focus on that. If they're not with somebody, you're going to be questioning what's going on, what's happening. If they're hanging around with a new group of people, you're going to be looking at that. It's one of those things that it doesn't matter what they do. You are going to be looking for answers that you just can't get. Well, technically the answers are there, and I think most of us know the answers. It's just we don't want to see it. We know, or as you start learning about this, you realize that there's something seriously wrong with your ex, but you don't want to believe it. You want to think that there's something else going on. You want to think that somehow it can be fixed. You want to think that something could change to make them become the person that you always thought they were. The problem with that is it was a facade. It wasn't real. That persona was something that they manufactured to reel you in. And this is why you'll notice oftentimes that they're acting differently. That things they wouldn't do with you, they're now doing with other people. Things that they thought were gross, they'll do now. Whatever the case may be, but that right there in and of itself is a really good indicator that it was just a facade for you. They were playing a part to keep you reeled in, to keep you engaged with them, and to keep you as a valid source of supply. The other thing we get trapped doing is comparing our lives to theirs. And that is a huge recipe for disaster as well, because as soon as you start comparing the way your life is post this breakup, post this discard, and all the damage that's happened to it, and if you're looking at their life and you're trying to keep score on who's doing better, you will drive yourself crazy. There's nothing good to be gained from that. And oftentimes, at least in the early stages, they appear to be doing pretty damn well. Most of the times, a narcissistic toxic ex, when they're able to plan their strategy and utilize the systems to their advantage, they're going to win. They're going to be winning for a little while. The reality is they don't win forever, that their facade is ultimately going to fall apart. The problem is we have to disentangle ourselves from them so that we stop being connected to them. And that is, it's really tough to do. It is not easy to do. There's a lot of people on the channel who are really actively struggling with this. I get that. And in full disclosure, I struggled with that too. This was not, for me, this was not one of those things where the mask fell, I realized that I was dealing with a facade and everything was great the day after. It was a nightmare, and it hurt, and it was painful, and it was an experience that I did not enjoy, and didn't really want to experience, but I had to. We all have to. We all are going through this. Bottom line is, we don't want to believe the reality. We do not want to believe what is staring us right in front of the face. We don't want to look at what's happening right now and look at our past and reconcile, holy crap, this has been going on for a really long time. You don't want to believe it. So you struggle with it. You try to look for, what ifs, maybe this, maybe that. What if I did something different? What if I try to make amends? What if There's a laundry list of things that we all think about trying to do, but it's never going to make any difference. And to be honest, if it does make any difference, 99% of the time, it would just be to hoover that person, hoovering back in, reestablishing the power dynamic, and basically using you as a source of supply, basically being a vampire and feeding off you until they have consumed every damn drop that they possibly can, and then they decide to move on. It's tough because we do not want to believe this. We do not want to accept this. We absolutely don't want to be feeling this, and we want things to go back to the fantasy land that we were living in before. Granted, we want the fantasy to be true. We don't want it to be a fantasy anymore, but that is one of the biggest struggles that we have with this. So the reality of this is, as we stay connected to them, it connects us to the pain. And until we start to disentangle ourselves from them, until we start to pivot our focus onto our lives and start healing and start establishing better boundaries and really trying to understand ourselves and how we got into this mess, we're going to be stuck with them. And that really sucks. I have often mentioned that it was a 3+ year experience for me. That was incredibly not good, which is an understatement. But it's one of those things that I had to go through that to really have that point drilled home. Now my hope is always that you guys can watch some of these videos, that you can relate to the message that I'm talking about, and maybe, just maybe, it'll help you see your situation just a little bit clearer and make it a little bit easier. And technically, it won't make it easier. I guess maybe just make it clearer, make the whole situation clearer for you. Because once you start to see the reality and you can start to remind yourself of what that reality is, it really makes a huge difference, and you really start to get your life back. The thing is, these people live in a fantasy land. They do not live in reality. They live in their own reality and their own fantasy. They pivot and move around and adjust however they need to get what they want, to do what they want and to get what they want. So their life is not any better. Talking about it at the beginning of this video when we were talking about comparing, if you're comparing lives and what they're getting away with, you have to look at it in the context of what these toxic people are, what they're doing, what they're going to continue to do, and how you get to move on, how you get to grow from this and actually have a genuine life. And most of the time, not always, but most of the time, after a while, a long while, you'll start to see their life falling apart because they just keep bringing more and more chaos and drama into their lives. Now, it really sucks whenever in the midst of that, they've been able to turn our children against us. But that's a whole nother video. And realistically, you always have to remember that your kids are right stuck in the middle and they're just trying to survive as well. So if you think that your ex is having a great old time, stop focusing on what they're doing and go do something so that you can have a great old time. Do something that you like to do. Do something that you want to do. Go see a movie, go to the library, go to the mountains, go to the beach, whatever it is. Start changing your focus off of what the ex is doing and what they're getting away with and what their life is, and start focusing on rebuilding your life. That is the key to really healing from this and starting to get better on this.